Steve, it's so wonderful to be with you today. Thank you for taking the time.
You bet, Stella. It's awesome. I'm glad that you took a few minutes to just talk about something really important.
Well, for over the last 10 years, I've been working to create new therapies for neurodegenerative diseases and neuropsychological diseases like Alzheimer's, ALS, and schizophrenia. This cause is really important, not only to me, but the team, and we've made so much progress.
It's awesome what you're doing. I feel like I want to encourage, I know you're busier than ever, but what's happening with the business, Spinogenix, is amazing. And for me, it's a labor of love. And so I'm just grateful to be a small part of it.
What makes you passionate about this cause?
Well, you mentioned it as a kind of from a global perspective, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, like, ALS, like so many others. It's so prevalent in families. That's my concern, is like you see bodies that are healthy, but minds that are not. And that's like, oh, what could we, because there's something that we can do to prevent. Is there something we can do to help? And so that's the global kind of perspective. But then personally, playing in the NFL for 18 years, and 18 years there's a few guys that have played longer than me, not many, but the game has its risks. And as I get older and I see my teammates and people that I know well suffering, it becomes very personal. And then by myself, every day we cross our fingers, right? Am I going to be healthy? Am I going to be well? Am I going to, be able to go to 90? Or my dad just turned 90 and he played football with leather helmets. So, he's doing pretty good. But it's like personal, it's family. And then it's just this general feeling of like, if we're going to be healthy community, we've got to find solutions to help with or prevent or to slow these neurodegenerative diseases. And so it's all, right? It's everything.
Well, and many people know you with your incredible career on the field and all you've done with the Forever Young Foundation. And again, they may not be aware of your invested interest in brain health. And when I asked you to join the board of Spinogenix, you didn't have to say yes. So what made you want to join our mission?
Well, I've learned that the best way to serve a community is for-profit organizations to have a compassionate service. We ask the government to do it all, and I just don't think they can. And so I think that my sense is Spinogenix was built by you with that in mind. Like my old coach, Bill Walsh, wrote a book about coaching, and he says the score takes care of itself if you're built by values, culture, and a North Star that says, I'm not serving the profit motive. I'm serving the people that I'm trying to help. And so I sense that in you. I sense that in the business. And that's still a challenge, right? Because you got to run a business. You've got to have, it takes a lot of money to kind of develop these medicines. And we could hold compassionate service for what we want to do for the community and then yet build a business. And so we can hold both of those in suspense and they don't have to be at odds. And I think that the spirit of Spinogenix feels that way. And that's why I responded. And the other part was you were willing to make a space for compassionate use. So that if I had family of friends, of teammates, and it's already happening, yes. Right? You've already responded to all, and so that's obviously close to my heart as well.
Thank you for actually sharing that. It is very dear to us. And as we were doing these clinical trials take a very long time. And even though we completed our studies in ALS and the results were very encouraging with our treatment, tasbentatol, that's focused on regenerating those brain connections called synapses. And again, we're focused on building the network, the brain network, rather than just slowing down the brain destruction. And so with the ALS studies looking very promising, showing stabilization or even improvement in the treated patients, we knew that it was going to take time to finish those studies and start the next study. And as you said, ALS, we don't have the luxury of time, and we went out to the FDA and we asked for them to allow us to do a compassionate use for those who would not qualify for our trials. And they granted us authorization to treat up to over 200 patients. And that is actually, again, something that's very true to the company at Spinogenix, which is we want to help. We actually think it's our duty to be able, and it's our responsibility to help as many patients as possible. And it's very near and dear to our hearts. Actually, in our family, we lost a loved one to ALS this past year. So I understand, and we're very proud of that.
What you just said is quite remarkable. In a way, it's miraculous that you could take a disease like ALS and feel like there's a path to not slowing it down, but to actually abating it, like stopping it, and possibly reversing it. That's what you just said. And it's like the hope. We always know hope is vital to life.
Yeah.
And you're bringing that hope, and it's real hope because you're actually proving it. And so that to me is super exciting. And the families that you and I have interacted with who have been recently diagnosed and now see the benefits. It's like people have to realize if you're healthy, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And when you're not, the desire for health is so intense, especially when you're facing something so traumatic as neurodegenerative diseases. It's like people just have no idea what hope you're bringing. The hope is incredible, and that's what's so exciting about it.
And, talking about just regenerating and getting function back, we recently announced at the International Alzheimer's Convention that just happened last month that we've followed patients. So as not only ALS, but we finished our study in Alzheimer's. And there, within 3 months, we saw patients improving in memory. And so that was tremendous. We had a case study.
I want you to scream that, but I really can't scream it. But that's insane. It's insane.
It is. We actually had a case study of someone who her husband reported that was able to start reading again, to see movies again, and again, start seeing the benefit within 3 months. And then it continued. Now we're 20 months in, so almost 2 years, and the benefit continues. So again, we're building that brain network of communication. And I think that is just, you're seeing it very pronounced in our Alzheimer's study. And it gives us a lot of hope that we can be able to, continue this work in larger studies and help more people.
So those of us that are not biochemists, that are not like experts like you are, those of us that are the lay people out in the world, can you give me a sense of the science? Like, you're describing something that's incredible. You could have diagnosed Alzheimer's, take the medicine, and it starts to actually not stop it, but regenerate brain function. That's for ALS as well.
How does it all work?
Yeah, like I know you can't get too detailed because we'll all our eyes will glaze over. But can you give us kind of your layman's perspective of it?
Yes. So we work at the synaptic level. So we have tasbentatol, which is designed as a once-a-day pill. And what this pill does is it again helps with reconnecting those cells, those neurons that stopped communicating. And again, when you're born, you have a lot of synapses. And as you age, normal aging, that's why when you're born, you can learn so much.
Right,
and with normal aging, the synapses, you lose synapses. That's normal with aging. But then there's different conditions where disease pathology, bad actors can come into play. And so with Alzheimer's, you see a certain part in your brain getting affected and those synapses not working. With ALS, and then also with schizophrenia, where again, synapses. By the way, there are a lot more diseases where synapses, and this is all known. This is like known biology.
There's just so many.
With that one, we have a different program, and we're working on a synaptic corrective. Yes, synapses are really key. And I think what's really exciting for us working at the synaptic level is that we could take advantage of different ways to understand how the cells are communicating and functioning. So seeing the activity of these synapses, and that's with EEG. So it's objective. So that gave us a huge conviction right now, going from animals to our first studies and planning our next one, because we see the patients, first of all, with all of these diseases, understanding how let's just say, the abnormalities in the EEG with Alzheimer's, ALS, these are all established. So we take the patient before they start treatment, and then we start treating them. And we see normalization of brain activity. And that's what gives us such a conviction. And then on top of that, we correlate that with all these diseases, the FDA has certain ways of understanding if you're having an impact. So like a functional to a behavioral readout, a clinical readout. And so that is, we didn't expect to hit it out of the park in these initial small studies, but again, we've seen a huge effect, a huge drug effect. And we're very excited to plan our larger studies, our next studies, because of the fact that we've had these patients treated, we've been following them over time. And it also tells us once we get these synapses functional, the patient is continuing to benefit. And that is huge because again, that hasn't been shown, especially, in a lot of the other therapies that are in development. But again, we're working on what I call a new zip code. This is a new modality. We're the first company that's working at the synaptic level in the manner that we're working. And so you could see this be used in combination with standard of care. So just like how, let's just say in cancer therapy, you need a lot of different
aspects, a lot of different modalities, a lot of different You come from anywhere. We'll try. I mean, not. It feels like what you're describing is miraculous. It seems for what we need in the brain has always been for science has been the black hole that never was able to get just it's like we're getting somewhere no one ever thought we would be. It seems insane. It seems crazy. It seems.
It's a dream come true. Yes.
Is it a dream come true?
For me, it's a dream come true. When I started this company, honestly, it was a little bit out of the park thinking. Like it was a Hail Mary. That's kind of something you would, I'm going to use your language.
In the movie that just came out, it's a Hail Mary. I love it.
And lo and behold, step by step, it's, we did the animal studies and it was working. And then we started doing the human studies. And again, there's a lot of things. We've cured a lot of diseases in animals. We weren't sure what was going to happen. And honestly, Steve, every Alzheimer's patient is different. Every ALS patient is different. So what I call is we have to work towards precision medicine, meaning that what we are doing with tasbentatol is for the first time adding, let's just say, an element that takes care of the synapses while the doctors can use other modality, because every patient has a different kind of the disease can be different. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's what we're also really excited about is the fact that, we're helping doctors help patients and, working alongside them to do right.
This is not a commercial to sell a product. I want people to recognize it's been a passion project from yours and a Hail Mary for problems and issues you thought were insurmountable and incurable and the world would never see something that would be able to turn it back. But you tried it and it's working and you have to pinch yourself every day and wait. Are there other shoes to drop that could, does it feel like the momentum is real and that we can start to count on it? How do you feel about it?
Well, again, these are still small studies. They're early, but I think that my conviction, which is why I'm so excited, is that objective aspect of understanding the drug is doing as designed. And me, I have no doubt.
What you dreamed of it doing,
it's doing. And I think that's really all I could have asked for at this point. But actually getting those correlations with what is necessary to move this program forward, we've done that for Alzheimer's and ALS. And actually, we announced our interim results for our schizophrenia trial. That trial is finished, and by the end of the year, we'll have that announced. So again, it's just, again, a dream come true. We're making progress towards that. And another reason just why we're so kind of interested in speaking to you, there's a new study that's showed that Alzheimer's and ALS risk is actually increased in players of the sport. Yeah. So what's your reaction to that? How do you feel?
Stella, I mean, when you're playing and you're in your 20s, you're not thinking about your 70s. In many ways, you don't realize what's happening to your body until too late. And so if there was a way, with Steve Gleason with ALS patients, like Dwight Clark, my dear friend, I watched it. I watched it from the beginning until the end. And I watched the disease just ravage him. I've seen now with Chris Johnson, one of the greatest athletes that people that don't know Chris Johnson, go look at the highlights. Like the athleticism is not just peak, it's not just elite, it's like one of one. And then to have this happen to him, the joy in thinking about possibly giving him relief or giving him some. Dwight didn't, died before this happened. Dwight, it's like we lose people constantly. And so this next generation of athletes, and I don't know, it looks like the studies say that there's more likely because you played, but the human team is going to benefit,
right.
But especially the football part of the human team. And maybe other sports as well. And so that's why you and I met on this. You had me at hello on this whole thing.
But it goes to show how important your work is. By being part and being for us to message this, it can help impact a lot of people.
Well, I really want this to resonate. I want people to realize that how you approached it was novel.
Yeah.
You hoped that it would do what you asked it, what you asked the medicine to do. It's doing it.
And it exceeded my
expectations. It exceeded the expectations, and it's actually not only stopping, but healing. And so now the full measure of it feels like, look, you're going to continue to do your work. You're humble about it. You're not trying to be famous, but the work needs to be famous. What's happening needs to be known so that it can be supported correctly. It could be managed correctly. We can get the help
Resources,
faster. It's important that people just hear the message and then do the work and do the study and do the objective tests.
Yes.
And and really see for themselves, because what's happening clinically, as I've seen it from the board perspective,
It's remarkable.
It's a miracle.
No,
It's a living miracle. And like you said, every human is being affected in some way by a family member of themselves for neurodegenerative diseases. And this could be part of
yes.
a solution. No one's saying it's like, but it could be part of a permanent solution. And I think everyone needs to hear this. It's an amazing thing.
Well, I look at ALS, especially with, as we talked about, Chris Johnson's announcement that he had ALS and the rapid progression. ALS we don't have the luxury of time. And so it's one of those things, and it's so complex. And the fact that it was so rapid, it's like working at the synaptic level. We take care of one, let's just say one area, but we need a lot more development. And so, the problem is it's also so aggressive. And so we can come up with a lot of therapies, but if we don't catch the patients early. Then it's like we really need to tackle it early in order to get them in therapeutic intervention as fast as possible. And so, ALS right now is diagnosed by a process of exclusion. There is no direct test, but did you know that there is a protein called TDP-43 that 97% of ALS patients have and 50% of frontal temporal dementia patients have? And there's no blood test. Yeah, well, this is the protein that's just like, let's just say TDP-43 is associated with so many people with ALS and half the people with frontal temporal dementia. No blood test, no brain test. But the company I started before Spinogenix is called Midas. And we were actually very interested in detecting these proteins and do they exist in the eye? And so because why the eye? Right now, you just can't go and knock on the door of a neurologist. By the time you get referred to a neurologist, most likely you have symptoms, most likely it's at an advanced stage. So we need other physician demographics where...
Be able to start to help diagnose so we can get the help earlier.
And do you wear glasses?
I don't.
Oh, you're lucky. Oh, wow. That's amazing. But a lot of people see changes in their eyesight around, their 30s or 40s, or now actually with all of the electronics, there's going to be a bigger demand. So I look at the eye care specialist as actually the focal point of being able to refer to a neurologist. Just so happens I'm also married to an ophthalmologist, so I know you come home saying he diagnosed someone with a brain tumor through the eye, because when you go get your eye exam, they actually look at the back of your eye. The back of your eye is your retina. It's neuronal tissue.
Did it recently,
So that is brain tissue. That's part of your central nervous system.
I love that.
So really looking at the eye, you can diagnose a lot about your health. So Amidas's goal was we developed what we call ocular tracers. Think of it as a dye that when it binds to, let's just say TDP-43, it can light up. And so our goal has been to first prove that TDP-43 exists in the retina. And I can tell you with the help of the NIH and multiple collaborators. So we collaborated with Target ALS, WashU, Georgetown, Mass General, Cedars-Sinai, Banner, and they all gave us the tissues to actually prove that TDP-43 is in the retina, and actually we're able to identify it with our tracer. So what's coming up next? We're getting ready to do a phase 2 trial in patients with ALS and TDP-43 with the goal to identify and diagnose this protein in the eye. And then what is the goal? Get them on therapies. So my dream, if you ask me, my dream is to make ALS a chronic disease. Imagine we find out earlier, we treat earlier, and maybe treat even with tasbentatol. And I truly believe we have hope, and that we're going to answer a lot. We're going to embark on this next year.
Thinking about it,
a lot going
can you
on.
Imagine
yes.
To make it a chronic disease, people think, oh, that's terrible. That's a miracle if that could become the situation.
You need to detect early to treat early.
And that's why in your way to make the full benefit of what we're developing at Spinogenix is really early detection, and that you need something, objective test that can not wait for the neurologist, and that's what you're describing, and that and the eyes are the doorway or the window
to the brain,
to the brain. So we've known that. I've known that from eye tracking for head injuries. They can do eye tracking now, put goggles on, do the eye tracking, and know what's happening in your brain. So we know that the eye is the way. Look, I wish I kind of want to scream this. It's like that, the inappropriate, but
Very
It
excited.
feels, and I think people might think it's too good to be true, but it's actually happening. And as it happens, and what you're saying is, I encourage others. This is not an exclusion. I encourage others who could be like-minded and help and have the expertise. We're going to need more help in this area. And so it's not like, oh, Spinogenix has the answer and everyone go away. It's like, no,
No, it's
jump
a
into the
team.
neighborhood. There's a lot to do.
Yes. And anyway, we're here to talk also about Dwight Clark Day. It's coming up.
Please.
Please share, what this means to you. I know the 49er community comes every year to celebrate Dwight Clark Day, and it'd just be wonderful to hear how the community feels and how you're able to bring everyone together, not only to raise awareness, but...
First, people need to know, I need to explain Dwight to people who don't know him. He was the Pied Piper. He was somebody who was, he was a very good looking man. He was an amazing athlete. He was, everywhere he went, the personality, he had everything. He was Southern charm. It was Dwight was all of that. And, in a locker room full of tough football players, Dwight could come in and charm you in the locker room. Like he was just that guy. And he was one of the leaders of the team and beloved because of the personality he had. And obviously he was very good, right? He was very productive, but also just in who he was somebody that he was kind of a peacemaker through comedy and humor and good feelings and, fairly well kind of spirit. And when he got diagnosed with ALS, it was like, that's horrific for any human. But for Dwight, it was like cutting down somebody that, I don't know, it just felt, I guess maybe because we were close and that we're also close to him and felt that. So then we watched, and he used to say, when he was really the disease started to really get to him, he was living down in Santa Cruz and he would have lunches and everyone go down and different people would go down different weeks.
Yeah.
And so over the months, we would all go down periodically. But then every time he went down, you could see how it was starting to ravage him.
Yeah.
And it was just super painful. But what I tell you about Dwight Clark is I didn't know about him, and I don't know that he knew about himself at the time until he faced the sublime peace that he found because we all want to say, what is it like to face death? What is it? Tell us it. And it was so faith promoting and peaceful the way he thought about what he was going through and how much he hated it and he wanted to fight and he was like, he'd be, but it was also a recognition of the beauty of life and the beauty of what his life that he had. And I really, it's funny. I went down to console him and be a friend and I would leave feeling like he was my therapist. It really helped me. And so to know him is to love him. And that's why we celebrate Dwight Clark Day for all of that, right? To the very end, who he was and how we represented and, just all the parts of it, especially the 49ers and the players. So Dwight Clark Day 87, that was his number 87. So August 7th. And it's just a day where, like you said, not everybody knows somebody that has ALS. It's not but the neurodegenerative diseases in general. And all of us as humanity, as we age, people are like, this Dwight Clark Day becomes a time when we can gather together and say, let's fight.
Right.
And let's also honor people who were the warriors through it. And so this 8/7 is Warrior Day. That's how I think about it.
I love that. We all need to be warriors. And also I would think, with Dwight Clark and now with Chris Johnson, there's been a lot of awareness with regards to ALS. And I don't know if you've seen the Ice Bucket Challenge has gone viral again. It started in 2014. Very important because, again, we need to continue to talk about this disease. It's not something that, I know the Ice Bucket Challenge has come again. A lot of it's been supported by the NFL fans. Are you up for the challenge?
100%. I think it's the way to. We want a megaphone to what we're talking about here today, and part of that is to jump in. I've seen some of my teammates. I've seen some of my cohorts in the Hall of Fame. The guys that knew Chris. I didn't know Chris personally, but loved his play and loved him as an athlete and loved him as an NFL player, as a fellow brother in arms. And so if there's things that I can do for him, if this is a small thing or anything more, I'm in. So let's
Do it.
let's pour some cold water on me.
You know, the Ice Bucket Challenge has gone viral again. It started in 2014.
Yeah.
Are you up for the challenge?
I'm ready for the ice bucket challenge. I guess.
Let's do it. Okay, ready? Whoa, one time. Ready? 1, 2.
And Jerry Rice, that was cold. Jerry Rice, I challenge you in the ice bucket challenge. Your name was the great Chris Johnson.